Peace and light, family. I hope that you are well and happy and whole and manifesting wisely and all those good things. I am the Queen Poe, and today we are discussing smudging. Yes, smudging. As I stated in a previous video, I am going to be answering some questions, some frequently asked questions that I've been getting, especially with the influx of people moving toward African spirituality, African traditional religions, and especially for my young folks, my Gen Z folks. Hey, how y'all doing? What's going on? I hope that y'all are well as well with your growing, prospering, beautiful, dope selves, But I've been getting a lot of questions lately about different topics, and one of the topics is smudging. And this has been a topic or a question that has been floating around the internet for a while. And while I was on my hiatus, I stayed quiet. I didn't really publicly share my opinion. I discussed it amongst friends, but I didn't bring my thoughts to the public. However, I am now doing that. So here are my thoughts. And the question is, that's my drum roll. The question is smudging cultural appropriation? Is smudging cultural appropriation? Let's get into it. Before I get deep into the question, let me explain what smudging is. Smudging is the spiritual practice of burning an oil, a resin, an herb, or anything to elicit smoke, and you cover an area, an object, or anything that you desire with that smoke with the intention of utilizing that smoke to infuse or remove a certain energy. So the smoke smudges, you're smudging the space, you're covering the space or the object with smoke, and that smoke is said to attract a certain energy or remove certain energies, bring in prosperity, attract love, attract abundance, or remove negative energies. And different herbs, different oils, different resins has the power to do that. And anything that elicits smoke really can be used as a smudging tool. I've seen people smudge with tobacco, people smudge with sage, people smudge with cedars and junipers and different things. And some people will use like essential oils to smudge the space. And all of that is okay and acceptable. Those are all tools or objects that you can use to smudge spaces with. So basically you burn the oil, the resin, the herb, and you cover the space with smoke. And that's exactly what smudging is, quick and short and in sum. Recently, smudging has become very, very popular. We've seen like a lot of celebrities practicing it. Most recently, this is February 22nd, 2022. So 2/22/2022. Most recently, we've seen Omarion went viral. He was like using some sage and smudging himself down. We've seen various people just using Palo Santo, Charlamagne the God on the Breakfast Club. He is known for using Palo Santo and smudging the studio with Palo Santo during the show. So it's become very popular and glamorized to be into smudging, which to me is a good thing. I love seeing people use our natural resources to balance their energy. So I think that's a beautiful thing. Others may feel differently, but who are you to tell people how to who can and cannot promote their wellness and practice wellness practices? Okay, we ain't gatekeeping wellness. Okay, some things need to be gatekept, but wellness is not one of them. We all deserve to be well. And I think that is a great opportunity to move into our question. Is smudging cultural appropriation? This has been a very hot topic in the spiritual community, specifically, I want to be very clear and respectful as I discuss this. A lot of Native Americans have been calling a lot of black folks and other folks out for utilizing white sage and smudging with white sage and saying like that's cultural appropriation. You shouldn't be doing that. Our ancestors used these herbs, and because white sage has become popularized, what's happening happening is, of course, just like the avocado industry, it's being mass produced, it's being genetically modified, and it's more difficult for the Native Americans who are currently practicing indigenous practices to get a hold of authentic white sage, and especially at a reasonable price. The price of sage, so my mother used to use sage, my family used to use sage when I was very young, and you used to be able to get a bundle of sage for the low. I'm speaking like $1, $2, for the low. Now a bundle of sage is $8, $9, $10. You know what I'm saying? So I've literally, with my own eyes, seen prices drastically increase. And of course, the Native Americans feel a type of way. Again, I'm comparing it to the avocado industry because there's literally documentaries out right now about how avocados are being, capitalism is in effect, and it's being marketed, and the industry is being drained. So just like the avocado industry, the sage industry is booming right now. And a lot of Native Americans are rightfully upset about that. And it's really because of supply and demand, or demand and supply. And the demand is really high right now. And that's because, again, a lot of people are moving into spiritual practices, getting into African spirituality. Therefore, they are utilizing white sage as a tool to practice wellness, to smudge their homes, and to cleanse their energy. And a lot of Native Americans are saying, hey, this is cultural appropriation. Not only is your cultural appropriation causing the market to boom, but also you're not giving us credit, which that's really the main issue with culture. One of the main issues with cultural appropriation is not just about the financial side of cultural appropriation, but it's also about the credit side. And as Black folks, we notice so much of our culture gets appropriated. And when we say appropriation, it simply means when someone from a different culture utilizes anything from another culture without giving them credit for it, without paying homage to where they got it from, and they use it and use it and use it. And if you don't give credit, people will automatically assume that it comes from you, that you created it, that you did this. So when you got folks running around burning white sage, Native Americans is like, hey, that's us. Hey, that's our thing. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that, and I respect that, and I value that. So, answering the question, is smudging cultural appropriation? No. Smudging is not cultural appropriation. Is burning white sage cultural appropriation? Yes. Smudging with white sage is cultural appropriation. Now let me explain the difference. Again, when we talk about smudging, we're talking about using any type of herbs, oils, resins, and we're burning them, and we're covering an object or an area with smoke with the intention of utilizing that smoke to remove or attract a specific energy, right? That is what smudging is. Smudging is an age-old spiritual practice that has been practiced across multiple cultures, including various African traditional religions, African cultures, Indian culture, a lot of, not just, when I say Indian, not just East Asian cultures, but also West Asian cultures, South Asian cultures. Some European cultures also utilized oils and resins and smudged. And what happened was, with smudging, people use what is indigenous and accessible to where they are. It's geographical. It's about location. And I'm going to give you a few examples. When I was in South Africa, they use an herb to smudge, and they taught me about the herb called impepo. And I have a whole video dedicated to impepo. I'll show some later on. But impepo is in the sage family, and it's an herb that is used to call on the ancestors, remove negative energy, bring the ancestors in to cleanse the space, to attract certain positive energy, and so on and so forth. The same intention that in America we use white sage for is what and pepple is used for in South Africa. In India, they have certain herbs they use. Here in America, a variety of different herbs they use. The current popular one is white sage. And I think that the reason that white sage is so popular in America is because it is the sage or the herb that is used to cleanse spaces that is the most accessible in America. I will say for myself, when I came back here, I tried to find in pepple and it was very difficult. I actually had to have it imported from South Africa. Okay. So basically, a lot of Americans are just like many other cultures. They're using what is accessible to them. And Native Americans are like, hey, that's us. And they are correct. White sage, smudging with white sage is native to the indigenous people of America. So when we are using white sage, we are using an herb that is native to the indigenous people of America, to Native Americans. We are adapting one of their spiritual practices, which is burning white sage to smudge and cleanse spaces. The issue of where we cross the line of cultural appropriation is a lot of folks don't know that. A lot of folks are not educated on that. A lot of folks are getting into spirituality and they're hearing about white sage and they're hearing that if I burn this, it's going to cleanse my energy. And that's what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So you're seeing them hold up the sage and you're seeing them smudge themselves and their intentions are well, right? Their intentions are well. They just want to cleanse themselves, but they're not doing the research and they're not studying and they're not asking questions. So when you don't know who to give credit to. Sometimes folks ain't even thinking about giving credit, but we know that that's not a good excuse. That's not a valid excuse. We all, especially here in America, we all have the power to research and to study. And I promote study because, as they say, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. You know what you're doing. You know that you burning sage. You know that you have the power to Google, to pick up your phone, to go to a library and go to a computer, to pick up your laptop and type in Google white sage and look up any information that you can. You have the power to pay homage to the ancestors, the hands that sowed them seeds and that grew that white sage and that discovered that white sage. You have the power to give gratitude and give respect and give credit. The question is, do you? And this may sound harsh, but we have to be accountable and we have to hold each other accountable. So, is smudging with white sage cultural appropriation? Yes, it is. It has been culturally appropriated because a lot of folks ain't doing what they need to do. A lot of folks are getting into spirituality and they're not studying, they're not researching, they're not paying homage, they're not giving credit. And not to say that that is your intention, but that is what a lot of us are doing. And it ain't right. What does doing better look like? Doing better looks like actually researching the tools that you are using. Doing better looks like paying homage to the ancestors that provided these tools and that set the intention for these tools. Doing better looks like giving credit where credit is due. And again, as Black folks, we know better because we of all people know what that feels like. We know what it feels like to create and to discover and to invent and for somebody else to take credit. So let's not do that to anybody else. Okay? So am I saying not to burn white sage? I'm not saying that. What I am saying is do your research and give credit. Do your research and give credit. Pay homage. Lastly, I want to offer some alternatives because, again, the sage industry, the white sage industry, especially here in America, is being depleted. And because it's being depleted due to the high demand caused by some cultural appropriation, okay? Because the industry is being depleted, a lot of indigenous people do not have access at a reasonable cost to white sage, which that is not fair. So if you want to ease up on the industry a little bit, if you want to be respectful and be mindful and be well-intentioned, and not to say that if you continue to burn white sage that you are not well-intentioned, but you know better, so now do better. Start giving credit and also just ease up on the industry history a little bit. Start using some of these alternatives. So this is a small example of a white sage. This is a small 3-inch bundle of white sage. It has not been burned yet. I'm actually preserving it because I am practicing what I preach, and I've been using a lot of different alternatives, but I just wanted to show you all what some white sage looks like. Now let's get into it. So this is one of the alternatives. This is a bundle of impepo, which I spoke about earlier, native to South Africa. This is a sage. It's in the sage family, and it's native to South Africa. It has a very sweet smell, almost like sweet grass, and it's amazing. It burns really, really quickly. However, it is very difficult to, I'm not going to say very difficult, but it is kind of difficult to access authentic impepo here in America. I have a sister who has family in South Africa. She sends me some. I have another friend who has some family in South Africa who sends me some. I actually have some that she sent me right here. I'm almost out of hers. Shout out to Pooh. You see, she wrote me a little note on the bag. It's a little bit left in there. Then I hold on to this impepo because it is difficult to get and kind of expensive because, again, I'm getting it imported directly from South Africa. However, I have had some family members in the wellness community who have found it on eBay, in various places, Etsy as well. Go on Etsy and type in impepo, and I'm sure some things will come up, but this is an up close look at it. It's beautiful, isn't it? Again, it burns really fast, has a really sweet smell. One of my favorite, next to sage, it is my favorite. White sage, it is my favorite. Again, this is in the sage family, so this is impepo. Now, this is juniper. Juniper is used to bring in prosperity. It is also used to cleanse energy. It brings in abundance and all that good stuff. So if you are manifesting, juniper is a good herb to burn as well. This is an up close look at the juniper. It gets pretty messy. I can literally shake it and some pieces will fall off, so it gets pretty messy, but this is juniper. Smells really good. Also smells kind of sweet to me. I love it. Not necessarily in my top 5 herbs to burn, but I like it. And I want to be clear, the reason that juniper is not in my top 5 is because it doesn't necessarily burn easy. As you can see, the herb pieces are very thick, so it usually burns best on charcoal. It's not like sage, where you can just light it and it'll smoke consistently until you put it out. You definitely want to use some charcoal if you are using juniper. Keeping it in the green family, we have some cedar. Cedar is also used to cleanse energy as well. I love cedar. As you can see, I burned this one. I get quite a few bundles of cedar. Again, I purchased my cedar from a private dealer like it's some other things, but I purchased my cedar from a private dealer. However, you can find cedar like on Amazon. You can find it on Etsy, eBay, and all those other places. But cedar, again, is also used to cleanse energy as well. This is an up close look at the cedar. It burns really well. Again, it doesn't burn as thorough and as easily as like impepo or white sage or blue sage, but it does burn well. You may have to light it a couple times, almost like palo, but I love it. And this is yerba santo. Now this one has become popular as well within about the past like maybe 5 to 10 years. When I was younger, I didn't see a lot of people burning yerba, but recently it has become very popular. I knew it was popular or becoming more popular when I saw it being sold in Earthbound in Savannah, Georgia, which is like a spiritual store. It's a spiritual store where a lot of white folks go, and I saw it being sold in bundles in Earthbound, and I was like, oh, okay, they done found out about yerba. It's about to go down. Honestly, for me, this is not even a good bundle of yerba. This was actually, that's kind of bad to say, but I'm being real. This is not a good bundle of yerba to me. That's why it is not burned. But I keep it because it was gifted to me. I don't know if you can see, but if you look closely, it has like a shine or a polish on it. Anytime you see an extra shine or polish on your herbs, that means that it's been treated. It's probably GMO'd, and it's not necessarily good for spiritual use to me. I prefer my herbs all natural and ashy, okay, like fresh out the ground. But yerba is a good one. Yerba is also used to cleanse energy as well. And it is also used for grounding and to bring in peace energy. So yerba santo. Now copal, I learned about copal while I was in Mexico. I went to Mexico a few years ago, and again, I was trying to find out what can I smudge to bring in some positive energy. At that time, I had been having some very, very vivid and clear visitations from spirit, I was tired. I needed some rest, and I needed spirit to calm down a little bit. Okay, so I was asking what can I use to cleanse the space, and they recommended copal for me. Copal for clarity, for cleansing energy, and to bring in good, peaceful, restful energy. And they also gave me some mugwort, which I told y'all about mugwort in the past, which is good for sleeping. Okay, but also enhancing dreams while sleeping. So copal. This is 100% all natural. I'm not even sure if this is going to show up correctly, but this is 100% all natural copal incense. I'm going to take it out the pack so you guys can see what it looks like. These incense burn really well. The actual copal stones or resin burns well as well, but you have to get it natural and authentic. So these are the incense. This is what it looks like. This is as close as I've found it to what I burned while I was actually in Mexico. And I actually purchased these off Amazon. The prices do range. When I first started buying them, they was like $8 for a 20 pack. And now I think they got a little more expensive than that. But I'll put the link in the description so you guys can easily click on it and get access to these copal incense. Another popular herb that is used to smudge. I don't have any accessible with me right now. I'm actually waiting on my shipment to come in, but Palo Santo is also used. Palo Santo is used for grounding, to bring in peace, energy, prosperity, and all that good stuff. Palo Santo is a really good herb to use. It's a wood. You can get it in stick form, you can get it in incense form, multiple forms, but it's really, really good. Another one of my favorite herbs is rosemary. Rosemary is used for prosperity. It is used for manifesting. It is also used for cleansing energy spaces as well. Rosemary is one of my favorites. Is used to call in new energy. So if you need a refresher, if you need to cleanse out your energy and refresh and ground, get you some rosemary. That's like one of my kitchen cabinet herbs that you can grab, and you can take a spiritual bath with, or you can burn and use that to smudge your space. Speaking of kitchen cabinet herbs, get you some basil. Basil is good as well. Same use as rosemary, but basil is more powerful when it comes to using it to cleanse out negative energies. Basil is a really good herb to use. Overall, family, smudging is a spiritual practice that we can all use in order to cleanse our energy, attract certain energies, cleanse our spaces. You can smudge objects, jewelry. I smudge clothes. Anything I get, I'm going to smudge it and cleanse it and infuse it with the energy and intentions that I desire. Okay. So we all have the rights and the power to smudge. Smudging is, I don't want to say it's not native to any culture. I want to say it's native to many cultures. So it is not cultural appropriation to smudge. However, let's be very respectful to our indigenous Native American people when we are smudging with white sage. Let's give credit where credit is due. And let's also ease up the industry a little bit by utilizing some of the alternatives that were mentioned previously in this video. Some of them you can access probably in your kitchen cabinet right now. Some are cheaper than others, more expensive than others, more easily accessible than others. But just try to be respectful and make sure that you are minding your intentions, family. Mind your intentions, because that is the energy that is returned unto you. I hope this video helps. Much love, much light, much peace. Clear energy, clarity, love, abundance, and all that good stuff. I'll see you soon. Peace, family.